Well, guys, welcome to another edition of the Isiah Factor Uncensored, and we're here live on Richmond Avenue at LA Bar, and we have another wonderful show with a long list of interesting guests for you. As you can see behind me, several people in the house, and we're here to have a good time. Now, this program is designed for the sick and shut-in. Those who are stuck at home on a Friday night, we are catering exactly to you. So we're going to begin this show with some of the top issues going on and top stories right here in our country. Now, a tragedy in Tennessee where a 24-year-old man gunned down 4 U.S. Marines during an attack on 2 military centers. Now, the truth of the matter, the shooter in this case, Muhammad Yusuf, got exactly what he deserved. Let's just say he's no longer with us. But here's where I have a problem. The governor of my home state, Louisiana, Bobby Jindal, who's running for somebody's president, he's already trying to use the death of these American soldiers as a political capital. He says the White House is not telling the truth and allowing the carnage to happen. Bobby, here's a message from me. Please zip it and focus on the issues and not use American tragedies to gain votes. Also in the news is Caitlyn Jenner and her appearance at the ESPY Awards. Athletes are mostly quiet about it, as they tend to do when they have those multi-million-dollar contracts. But sports journalists are ranting on and on about how the woman did not deserve the Courage Award. Did the former athlete, once known as Bruce on the box of the Wheaties, deserve the Courage Award? To be frankly honest, I really don't care. I think it was a ploy for ratings. Some say it was a side deal Jenner cut with ESPN after agreeing to do the sit-down with Diane Sawyer on ABC News. But this is a subject we will explore more tonight. And finally, in the top stories is actually our main story. The death of Sandra Bland. It's a story I actually broke right here in Houston. Now, the 28-year-old college graduate and Chicago native was found dead in her jail cell this week. This is after a simple traffic stop. Some say they believe someone at the Waller County Jail killed her because it doesn't make sense for her to take her own life. But then there was a bombshell that was dropped Thursday, another factor of the story that we also broke at Fox 26, a piece of information that left some saying, well, I'm not absolutely sure she was murdered by someone in the jail. We have more from Waller County District Attorney Elton Mathis.
I've just been apprised of that video within the last 2 hours. There's a video that purports to be, and I don't want to give that video credence until it's confirmed that that's really her. But there's a video that purports to be Ms. Bland back in March of 2015 self-diagnosing on YouTube with depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, where she speaks to that. And one of the issues with this case that has been in my mind is with the information that's been put out in the public, mainly on social media, as to her life and the new job that she was starting. I know a lot of people, especially the family, are wondering, why would she do this?
Now joining us live to talk about this issue and this tragic situation that occurred in Waller County is the Waller County Chief Prosecutor, who's an assistant district attorney. We have DIEPRAAM with us also this evening. Joining us, someone who knew Sandra Bland very well, LAVAUGHN Moseley, and she actually stayed with you when she came back to Texas from Chicago. Now, tell us, what was it like, first of all, seeing her, and she was so excited to get a new job at her alma mater, Prairie View A&M.
That's correct, and actually, she wasn't staying with me. Actually, she was just staging her stuff there.
Yeah.
They had notified her on Wednesday that they were going to be giving her an interview on Thursday. She left Chicago at 2 p.m. on Wednesday and arrived in Prairie View at 9:30 Thursday morning. She had an interview at 1 o'clock. She showered, changed, went to her interview, notified me by 3 o'clock that she had the job. And she was making arrangements to stay with either her sorority or one of the many friends that she has in Prairie View.
Now, when you found out, you talked to her Saturday. After she was arrested, she told you she had a $5,000 bond. And then when you got that call alerting you that she was actually dead, what was that like for you?
Well, actually, I talked to her on Friday night after she had gotten arrested, and they had not set a bail yet. Judge wasn't available at the time, so she had mentioned that a judge would be in between 9 and 5 on Saturday. She called me 1:45. I missed that call. I returned the call at 2:30. And they informed me that they did set bail and it was at $5,000, but I never spoke to her again after that Friday.
Now, do you think something happened to her in that jail? Now, we've heard the video and we've seen the video about mental issues. Do you think she took her own life or something happened to her in that jail?
Something definitely happened to her. If you have ever heard hashtag Sandy Speaks, she always talks about her thirst for life and her commitment to giving back to the community. She had just started a new job. She just got through driving 16 hours. She interviewed, she got the job, so that's not behavior or characteristics of someone that wants to take their own life.
Now, Warren, how do you get over and deal with something like this? You're one of the prosecutors in Waller County. If you have people saying that this woman was murdered by someone in the jail, but you guys have, you personally viewed the video, and you don't see anything that went wrong. How do you combat that when on social media they're saying she was murdered in Waller County?
Well, we've never said that we didn't see anything that went wrong, but we did see the video, and that was the primary concern, and we focused on that with the Texas Rangers, and the FBI immediately was determined whether or not she took her own life or whether or not somebody came in and murdered her. The video is very revealing, the evidence is very revealing, and we're pretty confident that she took her own life at this point.
Now, how do you address that or make the public understand that? Because right now, they're hell-bent that someone did something to her in that jail.
Sure, and people need to consider the sources of where they're getting their information. People can speculate all they want to about what happened, but the facts and the evidence will speak for itself and can't be faked. We want to release the evidence to the media and to the public as soon as possible, but we're working with her family so that they can be the first people to see that. As soon as it's appropriate, we will release all the evidence so that everybody can see it and see what happened. It's a new day in Waller County. We've got new staff and new prosecutors, and we want nothing more than for there to be an open and honest investigation into this case.
Now, one of the things you said was it's a new day. Do you think Waller County's history causes a problem for you guys now? There are allegations of racism against the sheriff. I've talked to residents there who have said that there's racism in Waller County. Is that a stumbling block for you as a prosecutor and an official there?
It's not a stumbling block. It's something that we need to be aware of. But just keep in mind, we've got a new county judge. The district attorney has brought in almost an entirely new staff. We've got fresh new police officers, brand new Texas Rangers. We even formed the area's first hate crimes task force to prevent crimes of hate against minorities, gays, African Americans, whomever. So we're being very proactive and progressive in law enforcement, and we're not going to let this rest. We're not going to sweep anything under the rug. If somebody needs to be held accountable, they will be held accountable.
Now, LaVaughn, real quick in our final remaining moments, do you think something was swept under the rug here?
Oh yeah, something was definitely swept under the rug. You have to remember that Waller County has a history of this type of behavior. 2012, they had another incident where an inmate supposedly hung himself. They had a press conference on yesterday, and I asked the sheriff, has anything changed procedurally since that happened? And nothing has. They haven't changed any type of procedure. There's been no policy change. And there's been 3 incidents of this nature since 2012. And so there's a murderer in the county jail.
Now, you're absolutely convinced that the recent video that we've seen that she says she has mental issues plays no role in this?
Well, I don't think it has any role. And we don't know what happened, what events happened leading up to her having that self-diagnosis. We do know if you look at the video, Ms. Bland says, I have epilepsy. And the officer says, good. So now when you think about resisting, was she resisting or was she having a medical episode? And there's no sensitivity there when she's telling you I'm epileptic and you're still forcing her to the ground.
All right. LAVAUGHN Moseley, Warren DIEPRAAM from Waller County, we want to thank you guys for both. There's a lot of issues that we have to deal with in Waller County, but we will continue the Isiah Factor Uncensored when we come back, and we'll talk about the issue of Caitlyn Jenner. So stay with us. We'll be back after this break. And welcome back to the Isiah Factor Uncensored. We are live on Richmond Avenue, and now we're moving to a different subject. We're talking about Caitlyn Jenner, the person that we used to know as Bruce Jenner, who is now transgender. Joining us to talk about this issue is NIKKI, ARIGUZ, transgender also, and Dave Welch of the Houston Pastoral Council. And we're getting some food. NIKKI wanted champagne and a couple of oysters. Now, when we take a look at this issue, Dave, let's start with you about Bruce Jenner. Obviously, you guys, as the Houston Pastoral Council, had an issue with the gay issue right here in the city of Houston when there were ordinances or executive orders that Mayor Parker worked on. Where do you stand with Bruce Jenner, a.k.a. Caitlyn Jenner, getting this ESPY award when many people said he didn't deserve it for simply coming out the closet, and there were other athletes out there who truly deserved it?
Well, I think that's clearly the case. This was an effort by the industry to try to promote an agenda versus really honor an athlete in that sense. And, you know, Bruce Jenner is another example of a really tragic story of somebody who has clearly gone through enough trauma in his life to where he's denying who he really always was. And it's just a process of a culture trying to deny reality. This isn't about equality. It's about reality and about whether we are created by God in his image and created male and female, or whether we're evolving animals. And we just happily believe that we choose to believe that we are male and female created by God. And we think Bruce is an American tragedy, not an American hero.
I think the real tragedy is that you call yourself a Christian. I think that's the real tragedy here. I think that in America today, I think the majority of people are on the right side of history, unlike Mr. Welch. And I think that America is really recognizing that people are people and that they deserve the same rights and respects regardless of what your personal opinions of them are. I think that Mr. Welch represents the portion of the population prior to the early 60s that thought it was popular to discriminate against African Americans. It would have been your line of thinking that would have led to the belief that even Isiah.
Well, Isiah, are we going to have a filibuster? Or are we going to have a conversation? Okay.
What if that's his personal feeling, that's his religion, and that's what they believe, and that's what you believe, and you want him to respect you, so why not respect what he believes?
I think that, you know, I will respect his beliefs as long as his beliefs don't infringe on my rights as an American and as a Texan and my protections. I think that, you know, Mr. Welch has pushed his agenda of hate while duping his followers who believe to follow the Christian principle of love thy neighbor.
And Dave, let me ask you about, are you pushing an agenda of hate?
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
Sure, absolutely.
Of course you are.
It's, you know, the reality is to push
back up, NIKKI. Now
an
we don't want no trouble.
That to tell our children something that is not the truth, to create confusion in the minds of children about their own biological makeup and reality of how they were born, how their chromosomes dictated who they are, how God created them. That's hate. And the reality is that we have to decide
hold on.
as a culture. Now, we need to live and decide. Everybody has to decide how they're going to live. Nobody should criminalize or demean, degrade the humanity of others. And in fact, what we see now is the reverse happening. Christians are being criminalized and punished and threatened with jail and fines all over the country for simply living out the same principles and standards that have been part of this country's heritage for its beginnings. And I will say this one thing, Isiah, it's offensive to our African-American pastors and believers to compare sexual behavior and gender confusion with race. It's just simply not the same.
I think the only confusion is in your mind. I think that criminalizing people for using the restroom that they belong in. I, for example, as a 13-year-old child, was raped in a public restroom by a heterosexual male, a lot like you. And I just want, you know, Americans, and especially transgender children in America, to be protected and safe.
Well,
and
that's all the time we got. We want to thank you guys. This is a debate that will continue on, and we will not resolve it here. But we thank you guys for coming on the Isiah Factor Uncensored. We'll be back more with Laura Reynolds from Sports Radio 610 in just a moment. So make sure you stay with us here on the Isiah Factor Uncensored. And thank you guys.
Thank you.
Being a And welcome back to the Isiah Factor Uncensored. I've never been so happy to get out of a segment really fast in my life. In fact, I'm kind of sweating here. I need a little water.
My goodness.
NIKKI, ARIGUZ, and Dave Welch, Memorable TV. Joining me now is Laura Reynolds from Sports Radio 610, and you're here with the hot topics on the internet. I know. Let me just drink some water and you go on with the hot topics. My
All right,
God.
I'll take it away from there. We have a model. Her name is NIKKI Paul. She is absolutely gorgeous, from Nebraska, and she's originally from Sudan. Gorgeous woman, and you're going to see a picture of her. And her thing was she put out a memo to all of the fashion world saying, "Dear white people of the fashion world." That's how the letter starts out. I can't go much past that because there is some swearing in it. But what she said was very true in the fact that since 2010, she's had to bring her own makeup to her shoots because she's so dark complected that there isn't makeup that actually the makeup artists bring that will work for her.
Well, I hear
That's
that all
not
the
fair.
time, Laura, because whenever I get makeup, it's like I'm looking great, like The Walking Dead, a cast
Isiah,
member, and people call me all
you're
the
a
time
natural
at
beauty.
Fox.
Yeah,
Oh,
you just don't even need the makeup. You don't even need it. But, you know, it was a great letter, and she makes a good point in the fact that, you know, if you're an artist, a makeup artist, you should bring all of the things that you need in order to do your job, and these people are not. And so she's calling them out on it, and I think that's great.
Way to go, way to go.
And now I want to tell you a little bit about Bobby Christina. You know,
Oh,
just
that's a tragic,
I know,
tragic
it's such
story.
a sad story. I mean, this has been going on for the family since January. Tyler Perry actually put out a statement saying, you know, give the family some room. If you don't know what the latest is, she's actually been moved to a hospice. And just this past week, a white tent has gone up on the side of the hospice, and a hearse has been pulled up next to that white tent.
So
now,
they're thinking the last days.
yeah, exactly. So we don't know anything other than that right now, but it's just such a sad situation. And, you know, seeing the family in that is just horrible. Now, there have been charges filed against the boyfriend at this point, too. So this story is going to continue.
Absolutely.
Now, some film has been unearthed. Princess Elizabeth, now Queen Elizabeth of England, and this film is over 80 years old. 1933 is when it was shot, and it's showing Princess Elizabeth, then about 7 or 8 years of age, doing a Hail Hitler with her. And actually the family too was actually involved in this too. And what do you do when a 7 or 8 year old, this is before the war, so is she just mimicking something she's seen in the papers?
Yeah, I don't think we can hold that against her because she's so young, you know? And I mean, it was a different time back then.
Well, 7 or 8, you're following your parents.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
is that something where she, is not aware of what she's actually doing?
All right, Laura Reynolds with Sports Radio 610. We want to thank you. We'll be back with you.
Absolutely.
We're going to check the sports when we come back. Any sexy traffic?
No, are you?
Do that.
You're going to ask me that
We'll be
every
back with
week.
the Isiah Factor Uncensored in just a moment. Stay
Bad.
with us.
This is how we do it. It's Friday night, and I feel alright. What you wanna? Ain't on the corner.
And welcome back to the Isiah Factor Uncensored. Now we're wrapping it up. We have Laura Reynolds from Sports Radio 610 with sports.
Yes, I can't believe it, Isiah. You know, the gossip has come true. Khloe Kardashian is dating James Harden. Thank you. I appreciate this so much.
Oh my God, if
You
I
know?
hear about one more Kardashian, but go
Oh,
on.
no. I love it because the same reason that the Rockets hate it, I love it. They're bringing the circus to Houston. This is going to be awesome.
Sightings everywhere.
Yeah, at least 3, Vegas, and then a couple of restaurants, and even working out at the gym. It's so cute. Thank you. I so appreciate appreciate this. Now, coming up, football fans, Hard Knocks. Put this on your calendar. August 11th, 9 o'clock Central, HBO Hard Knocks featuring the Texans. You're definitely want to get on Twitter and sign up for @Arian Foster and @JJ Watt, because these two are going to be superstars when it comes to Hard Knocks. And they're a lot of fun to follow anyway. I mean, JJ just this past week helped a lady in Katy announce her pregnancy to her husband by holding up a sign and taking a picture on Instagram. And Arian this past week as well helped a college student buy some books. So you know these two are going to have a lot of fun when it comes to Hard Knocks. And speaking of the Texans, have you checked out this video of a Houston Texans cheerleader? It's Daranisha. I hope I said that right. But this woman does some killer ab workout. I mean, Isaiah, I will give you $20 if you can do just one of these sit-ups that she is doing.
How about I pass on it and eat a Whataburger?
Okay. Well, you know, play to your strengths, Isaiah. Play to your strengths. But I mean, just amazing at what this cheerleader has done. And she just saw it on Instagram and thought, hey, this looks like a lot of fun. I think I'll try it and see if I can do it. And she did it, and she did it well.
Oh my God.
It's
so
amazing.
Interesting, exciting time in sports. Now, for those who don't know quite absolutely what Hard Knocks is, what is that?
It's a fun show where they follow a team every season, a couple teams, and they follow them through training camp, and they show them, you know, going through the drills, and it's kind of like a little bit of a soap opera too. I mean, you get a lot of the fun stuff.
It's like a reality show.
Exactly, and in fact, Bob,
I can't believe the Texans agreed to that.
they think it's going to be good, actually, because McNair was saying that, you know, he thinks it's going to be the chance to show that it's a world-class organization here in Texas.
All right, Laura Reynolds from Sports Radio 610. We want to thank you for dropping by.
Appreciate it.
And we thank you guys for spending your Friday night with us here at the Isiah Factor Uncensored. Remember, we will be right back here live next week at LA Bar on Richmond Avenue. Have a great night.